this video, I review Castlevania Lords of Shadow, Mirror of Fate in HD for Xbox One or Xbox 360. Will it suck? Or will it suck blood? Well, I thought I'd change it up and start a little bit later in the game. This is about halfway through the game right now. I'm playing as Alucard and get a look at the map system here. Somewhat familiar with the blue background on the right compared to some of the other Castlevania games. Let's take a look at Alucard. He actually uses a chain whip in this game, which is an allusion to the origin story, because this is basically the origin story for Alucard. And we have the double jump, the mist form, the stopwatch, I don't know, I can't quite remember, bats, wolf form. These are all things that we've seen before in other Castlevania games. So this plays, at least in part, like the Lords of Shadow, in which there are combinations that are put forth in terms of how you have fighting. So I'm just going through and just demonstrating on the menus, just all the different fighting options that you have. And here we have a look at a lot of the monsters that are present in the game that you get to fight, and they're all pretty interesting. Some of them are repeats from other Castlevania games, some of them are not. This one I was not able to actually even find. He's just kind of in the background. There's a fairly good share amount of bosses, and they're pretty cool. There's not too many just button input bosses. There were a few of those, but not quite that many, which was good because I don't like that whole button input situation. It gets kind of repetitive, especially when you can't put in the inputs correctly. Anyways, let's go ahead and I'll do a little bit of gameplay. Gargoyle here for a moment. So as you can see, it's not like other Castlevania games. They try to use the Lords of Shadow 3D fighting moveset in this game, and kind of works. Anyways, there's different obstacles to overcome, and using the whip and all the movement things that you get in order to improve your ability to move about the castle. Alright, so now let's go and fight that character from Death Note, that death god from Death Note. Looks just like him. Anyways, do you see my picture for the thumbnail? I look like a constipated vampire. I imagine that's what vampires look like when they eat cheese and don't drink any blood. I imagine that you're a constipated vampire, you're probably sitting in your coffin all day long thinking, oh man, I really need to be a good BM. Should get some more blood. Loosen things up down there a little bit. Anyways, let's move on, shall we? So I didn't realize this until I actually researched a little bit. This game actually came out for the Nintendo 3DS, which was a portable system, and it was converted over for use on Xbox 360. This was a game that was, a handheld game to begin with. So that's why they put the HD moniker on it to differentiate it. And this was supposed to be a step up in graphics and sound and such compared to the 3DS. But you can see this is why, like this sequence here. Oh yeah, by the way, yes, that is Simon Belmont. And yes, he does look like groundskeeper Willie. And Alucard looks like that. And Dracula looks just like he did at the end of Lords of Shadow. Remember, this is going with the Lords of Shadow version of Castlevania. Anyways, going back over the idea of the system for the 3DS, it's not as robust a system, so that's why the whole thing is done in this 2D platforming, walking around type system, as opposed to a true Lords of Shadow game that would have been a little bit more 360-degree view. And yeah, the usual bitch complaining by Alucard about, oh, I'm a vampire, oh, you're my father. Yeah, we've seen this time again in all these series of Castlevanias. Oh, and so now it's time for a boss fight. Let's go. Boss fight. And I actually have to really apologize to anybody watching this. I actually record pretty much all of my stuff on my camera, and I just realized there's a whole lot of dead space on the right side of the video. Didn't realize that because it kind of doesn't show up all that great on the camera. So that's why it looks like that. Anyways, get a good feel for the boss fight, and hey, we're 2-on-1, so we should probably have no problem here. And yeah, you go, Simon. I thought Simon Belmont was a bit more of a badass, to be honest with you. But yeah, guess not. The life bar's going down pretty good, though, considering. Yeah, I'm playing this game on the easy mode. I usually play things on the easy mode, so as you can see, I'm not that great of a player, and Dracula tends to beat the crap out of me. But he is Lord Vampire, or something like that. Lords of the Shadow game, he actually beats up Satan, so, I mean, somebody that can beat up Satan is probably pretty badass. Huh? What? Is that it? I mean, the life bar wasn't down all the way. What's that? Oh, second phase. Alright, yeah, always good to have a second phase of a boss. Oh, wait. Oh. Didn't see that coming. Yeah. So now to fight a vampire killer. But I'm a vampire. This is not going to end well, is it? So you can't let Simon kill you. So I actually had to look up on a guide online. I use GameFAQs.com guide. I have a review for that on my channel. Basically, it's a good place to find this stuff. But it basically tells me that you have to block Simon's attack first and then do the grapple technique. And then that happens. So you're going to basically remove all of the evil that Dracula's put into Simon so that you can then have Simon not die and you also not die. Which, you know, works for me. So he's not sucking blood, but he's sucking out evil. That's good, right? So block and, yeah, get that evil out of there. Alright, now on to the next phase, and oh my gosh, he's got tentacles. What am I watching? Yeah, I'm just going to stop there. I'm not going to make any jokes any further. I mean, naughty tentacles? I was not expecting naughty tentacles. I mean, well, maybe I should. I mean, there's whips and chains and stuff, and might as well have naughty tentacles, I guess. So this boss fight is pretty epic. I mean, not like Rocky 3 epic, but you know, like more like Van Damme and Bloodsport epic. Yeah, yeah, that kind of level of epic. Karate Kid ending epic, sort of. Anyways, let's just beat this boss. I'll be honest, this was actually probably one of the cooler things in the game, actually. It's interesting. Okay, here we go. Here's the end of the boss fight. We'll just run through this. Yeah, and to let you know that cutscenes that I have, as opposed to this cutscene where I'm dressed up like a vampire, that was actually not a very comfortable costume to wear. I live in Florida, and even though it's the end of December here, it was 77 degrees inside my house. So yeah, I was basically sweating like crazy and definitely wanting to wrap up that scene that I shot for the intro and outro real fast. Anyways, oh, there's Talkless Head Guy, who's obviously played by Captain Card, as you'll see if you watch the game. Yeah, Patrick Stewart actually did a walk-on voice acting bit for this because he's in the Lord of Shadow series. He plays some evil wizard guy thing at some point. Anyways, yeah, evil mirror. You shouldn't rely on that. Give it back to the weird-looking, silent, floating head thing, which they actually really don't go into much in this game, which is a little bit disappointing. I didn't quite understand why they didn't take at least 30 seconds to kind of explain what that was. So, yeah. Basically, he's Simon's father because he's Trevor Belmont, which I think you probably have put that together without having to go through Trevor's activities. Which actually comes up next, which is the whole Trevor Belmont series in Act 3 and the final part of this game. So, hey, what? Yeah. Don't play with that. Yeah. Mama's gonna need that when Daddy's gone. Yeah, I'll just let you guys figure that out for yourselves. And yeah, here's Trevor Belmont, and oh yeah, big reveal. Yeah, his face is Alucard. Yeah. So Trevor Belmont is Alucard, which makes absolutely no sense if you've played the 8-bit Dracula's Curse, because Trevor Belmont and Alucard are in the same game and they're different people. So very unusual that he is, well, I guess this Lords of Shadow is completely different. So different world. Sypha is his wife in this game, and well, let's just go through the rest of the cutscene and then we'll get to the review, I guess. Yeah. And here's how he gets the mirror. Yeah, they do everything kind of reverse chronological order to make the plot seem better, but they could have just started off with Trevor, and I don't think it would have been that much of a difference. In fact, it probably would have been easier for people to understand if they would have done it at the beginning. But it's not as dramatic that way, I guess. That's why they started Star Wars at Episode 4 instead of Episode 1.
Will you do that for me?
Okay. What is a man? Nothing more than a miserable pile of secrets. Can you believe Buffalo actually is going to go to the playoffs? That's amazing. Anyways, this game was sort of okay. Certainly not the best Castlevania game. Symphony of the Night, pretty hard to overcome. Just for nostalgia purposes. But it does a fairly decent job. It's definitely no Lords of the Shadow in terms of, it's just a 2D player. This was originally made for Nintendo 3DS, so you have to give it a little bit of leeway there. So it's fine for what it is. Is it worth getting? I wouldn't go seeking it out necessarily. You can probably skip this one in the series unless you're a really true big Castlevania fan. Pretty much all the cutscenes are all on the internet, on YouTube anyways, if you just search for it. I did for the secret ending, which to get the secret ending you need 100% in all of the different chapters, and that's really difficult to get, so I don't advise doing that. Just go online, you're not missing anything. It's like 1 minute of footage, not a big deal. So anyways, I use the Game Informer system for all my reviews, which is a 1 to 10 system, 1 being terrible and completely unplayable, to 10 being one that it can't be missed and is legendary. This fits in at probably about a 6.7. It's decent, but easily forgettable. Mechanics work just fine, but it doesn't quite work well when they're taking the Lords of the Shadow mechanics in terms of fighting and they put it on to a 2D system. It kind of loses something there. Plot's kind of okay, but if you didn't play the other Lords of the Shadow game, you have really not a lot of context for what's going on. Anyways, I hope to see you soon. Again, make sure you like and subscribe and keep to the channel for further updates. Bye-bye.